Hey everyone. I know it's been a long time since my last tutorial. I've been kind of busy, but I'm finally going to make another one here. And as you can see playing in the background, this is my tower defense, which was moderately successful in the US and pretty successful in EU. It died off the popularity list recently. I'm not really sure why, but people seem to like it. So what I'm going to be doing here, because making a good, complete, polished tutorial, tower defense takes extremely long time, I decided that this tutorial is going to be just a walkthrough. Because if I did it like my simple tower defense tutorial or my other one, you wouldn't get everything complete, and there's just not enough time. I spent countless hours on it, so rather than recreate everything from scratch, I'm just going to be demoing how each part works and how to do each part, so then you can just go apply it. And the map is unlocked on US and EU, so go ahead and open it. You can open it through by going into File, Open, and then switch to the BattleNet tab, and then you can find it in there. Anyways, so you can see the map here. If you haven't played my TD, go ahead and play it by yourself. It is doable by one person if you build quickly up here and then build down below. The basic idea is that it's a team tower defense. The mobs spawn up here and they go down and they make their way to these two sides, and it's left versus right or team, so you can play as everybody on one team or each side as their own team. And there's a lot of little things that you have to go through when you put a full map out, so I'm going to be going through as much as I can here, and hopefully I won't miss anything. So to start, let's take a look at the I'm going to be looking at the data first, and triggers will come later, so if you want to skip through several parts to get to the triggers, go ahead. So to start, let's start with this with the tower itself. So the basic idea of my tower defense is that you can build, everybody has the same builder, and then you build several tier 1 towers, and then that'll unlock related tier 2 towers, like different races. So let's see. So to start off, I have 3 races in the game right now: the bug team, the drink team, and the mall team. And they all have their tier 1 tower. So you can see the drink team has the cola tower. And basically, once I made one tower, I was able to just duplicate and move along. But I mean, when I duplicated it, I'd have to make like the actor for it, like drink-cola, the actor, the attack actor. And these are just unrelated, and these are I made separately. And then I have to check off the damage, the launch missile, this, and the placement model. These are the models that correspond to the actors, and of course the turret and the weapon. And then once you duplicate it, then I would go in, make sure it has the cell tower. The upgrades I put in later. Upgrades are something that took a long time, but I have to do it after that all. Anyways, so I'd put in the cell thing like that. I'll show the cell ability later. The cost of the tower. When you first make your tower defense, you kind of just have to play around with the costs, what you think is right, but you won't really know until you actually play it. And the footprint. Footprints I had a lot of issues with because of anti-block and all that crap, which I'll show later too. But the footprints I did modify. What I did do is I didn't modify the footprint itself, but I modified what the tower footprint is. So instead of using the regular footprint 2x2, I used footprint 2x2 doodad. And the reason for that is that the footprint is actually more square. So if I switch to the units layer here, and this was something I just found out that actually saved me quite a bit, because I was having a lot of pathing issues with people blocking and stuff. It's pretty hard to deal with it all, especially if your map gets popular. People always find ways to exploit and stuff like that. So if I go to structure now, and let's see, any of these towers, if I place one with view, show pathing, show mesh, you can see that when I place it in a second now, you can see the footprint around it is perfectly square. While by default, footprints are not like that. If you look at this, by default, footprint 2x2 is like this. So it actually has rounded edges, which is not desirable for a tower defense, because if you have 2 buildings like this, you can see that little gap gets open there. But my towers don't get that gap when I build them like this. So that's one thing to note when you're making your tower defenses. This is a small thing, but it's actually a huge thing. And the facing, the reason the facing is 0 is related to that little, let me get rid of the mesh here. When I place a tower, you can see that little ground thing around, the little ground texture below it. That's the splat, and that has to do with the facing of the unit. If the facing of the unit was like 20 degrees, then the ground texture would be rotated wrongly. And there's just no way to change that I found without changing it right here. You couldn't change it on the splat. Life didn't really matter. The rest of this didn't really matter. Under flags, I don't think I really changed anything here. No. So you do the unit, you go through the unit, then you have to rename everything. So you have your actor, which you can also find in here. Drink cola. So you go to the actor, make sure that's set, and then you change the model to whatever you want, or you pick, because we duplicated a model, find the model that you duplicated, and then go to the model, and then change the actual model through here. And then you can scale it, and then go back to the actor, and then set the model to equal whatever custom model you made. That's all I need to show there. I didn't change the sounds and stuff. Like, I left the sounds all as like photon cannon. I think I started with the photon cannon when I first started this tower defense. The thing I did change though was the group icon. Here icon's not important. I did it anyway though. And the life armor icon I didn't change. The unit icon I did, and the wireframe. And the rest is not really important. This isn't that important. So you do that, and then you do the attack actor. The important fields in here. And keep in mind that I had this going pretty fast, but when I first started, I had to start from a photon cannon, which required a lot of fixing and setup. So the important thing is launch assets. The model here will be like what comes out of your guy when he shoots what comes out of the tower when he shoots. So it could be like a smoke model or something if you wanted like smoke to blast out of his gun. And sound is when he starts attacking. So you can see I wrote attack launch ranged. And then the other important field is impact map. And this one, if you just click on none, I don't change the other ones. You can change what happens when it impacts, when the missile impacts, and what sound it plays. And so what didn't get duplicated if you duplicated a tower is the attack missile. And if you've watched my photon cannon duplication tutorial, you'd know that this doesn't get duplicated for some reason when you duplicate units. It's not an option. So you have to go search for photon cannon missile or photon cannon attack missile, and then duplicate it yourself, and then go into here and set it to the weapon that we duplicated for cola. If I was to duplicate cola, I would have checked off weapon, and it would have had like drink-cola copy, and you rename it to whatever you want, change whatever fields, and of course fix up the damage that you would have duplicated. And launch missile. Launch missile needs to be duplicated, but probably not changed. Yeah, because then it'll automatically get set to the right fields here. And I know this is a lot of stuff, so I would actually recommend opening the map itself and just looking how I did all the units and stuff. I'll try and cover everything here, but it's impossible to remember everything I did back then. So yeah, you go change your damage. But anyways, once you've set up your weapon and effect, you come to your actors where I was here, and you duplicate photon cannon attack missile or whatever, or cola attack missile if I was making a duplicate of cola. Make sure you set the weapon to the right weapon for your new unit, and then you can set the model. So make sure it's like a weapon missile model. This happens to be one, which is like a green ball. And I think that's it. Yeah, that's all you need to set here. Then you go back to attack, and then you make sure that art missile has your attack missile, that actor that you just made. And then when that's done, you make a range actor if you want. This is the little like arrows that around the white arrows around your tower that indicate. Why does it keep selecting that unit? It's little arrows that indicate where the range is when you build it or whatever. So you'd have to set the weapon here, or actually you set this field up here to the weapon, and then this field automatically gets set. But here's where you have to do some custom stuff in events. I have one. These two are here because of my upgrading, because the upgrade ability that I gave to my tower. So if you didn't have upgrades, you could ignore these. But these two you need to make. And you see that this says any, but here it says drink cola. And that's actually a bug on Blizzard's part. So you actually have to go back here, press Control D, and then you get the raw view, and then double click in here, and then type, and then let's see, where is it? If I scroll to the left, no, scroll to the right. You have to scroll through here, find where, well, actually it says number, weapon, number, so you have to find where this little spot is and then type in number, weapon, number, or you can type in drink cola, exactly that text. If I typed in drink cola, it would switch to number, weapon, number sign. So yeah, now if I press Control D back, you can see that it actually says drink cola now. So it's just not editable from within here, like you just can't select anything for some reason. So you can get the range actor done, and that'll pretty much get that done. And then the turret actor needs to be duplicated as well from the photon cannon or whichever. This doesn't get made by default. And then in here, you just double click in events and then set it, and then change the event turret enabled to be whatever turret we duplicated. So back in here, when I was duplicating the cola thing, this turret, where is it? This turret right here is actually different than this turret here. This turret is the actor for it. Turrets have an actor and then the turret itself. So if you want the head of the photon cannon to turn or whatever, then you would have to set this up here to just do this, and that's it. The turret's done. So once you got all that done, then you got your tower done. Then I go to my build ability, which I had set up. Construction mover. One thing that never actually worked for me was blocking construction. What I did was on concrete. So what I did was in sorry if I'm getting off track here, but I made core hall brick to have pathing no build, and same with core hall concrete. And then back in the build ability, I made sure it used the construction mover, and the construction mover is prevented by no build. However, in the editor, I can't place, as you can see, I can't place it here, but in game, it would still actually work. For some reason, I couldn't figure out. So what I had to do is actually, if I press H here, I had to actually paint no build around all of the no building areas. So that's just something I had to do. I don't know if somebody else can find a solution, but I found that making no build textures actually didn't work. I had to actually paint it myself. So anyways, back to the actual build ability. I don't think I changed any flags. No. Cost refund fraction you can set to whatever you want. So if somebody cancels building, most of the buildings that I in my tower defense build so fast that you can't really cancel anyway. So the important part is info here, and if you duplicated which this is a duplicate of the pro build, you'll have a lot of like random Protoss buildings in here. So you just got to overwrite them. You got to go in here and have the button already set up. So I'll just show that. I should have actually showed that first. No requirements. Make sure available is here. Make sure you press this X to get rid of requirements. Some random Protoss buildings have. And then you scroll down and set the build time in the unit that it builds. Then you press OK, and you're done here. But anyways, you can see the build thing I made. You have the hotkey, the icon, this, and this. And you don't have to set these, because if you double click here, you can see it says button name. The actual text key is button name build drink cola, and up here the alert name is build name build drink cola. So this, if I change this, it'll actually change this too, because they're both referencing the same text, and you can see text in the text editor here if you want. And that's kind of a cool thing. So anyways, the actual tooltip displays like this: tier 1 drink, damage, blah blah blah, speed, and attacks ground and air, effective against all types. If I display it back as raw text, you can see how I reference the actual damage in the effect itself, so that I don't have to keep changing this if I balance things later in the game, which is really handy. So you just make sure you're on raw text, and then you just type this out, find the thing that you want to get to. So I want to get to effect, drink cola, damage, amount, and this is the syntax for it. You just got to do it like this. Speed is like this, and you can set the precision so you see like 4.5 instead of just 4. And then the range is the same thing. The one thing I couldn't display was the area of effect size. So for all my towers, I had to just display a message that says has AOE or whatever. But I couldn't actually directly reference the area of effect. I couldn't find the key value like this to get to it. I couldn't get it working. And there's some color here, and basically that's how I do the button. So you finish putting that in the build ability. Then you go back to your builder,